Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Sorry about starting live stream a little bit late here. Um, Ultimately, just trying to get my setup right on vacation, but here with the last sort of deadline live stream here, away from my usual setup. So apologies about that. In terms today, you'll probably notice that I have a slightly different team to most. I'm actually benching Bukayo Saka, and that's the decision that I've made. I don't know anything about Saka in terms of his fitness, in terms of whether he's going to play today. I just think that it's very likely he'll probably play slightly reduced minutes, which is why I've made the decision to start Muniz and Luis Diaz ahead of him. I did also go for Luis Diaz. That was my one transfer for this week. And I am also captaining Salah for now. I know a lot of people want to captain Palmer, and that's totally fine. I just want to take the risk here, going with probably another captain that I quite prefer. So yeah, ultimately this is a case of I think Salah and Son are the ones that I think going against Palmer are probably the ones that I'm most confident in, and so we've sort of landed in this position here basically. All right, Canon. Just starting with chat, of course. Hey, Fran, always lovely to see you. I'm stuck between Saka to Foden or Bradley to a Man City defender. Yeah, that's a fair point, to be honest. I don't know if we're going to get Saka news ultimately, right? We have team news and ticks, but it's not like he's going to give us news today, I think. And as far as Bradley to a Man City defender, I do think Bradley to Man City defender is just a safer transfer, right? Because it's very likely that Saka can come back quickly. I don't think he's long term injured. So the upside, of course, short term is going to be with Foden because if Saka doesn't play and Foden actually plays, then it's a huge sort of swing in terms of value. But then in terms of the safest transfer, I do think Bradley to Man City is very sensible just because we expect Bradley's minutes to go down. We expect the Man City defender to be very useful short term. I did, yeah. Good question on captaining Palmer and Salah. I think I'm going with Salah here because I think United just look awful. Sheffield United, yes, of course, they're probably a top two bottom defense within the league, but actually United are, they're actually a bottom five defense in my opinion. So, yeah. And can you please update on yellow cards? FPL says Nunez 9. No, I think Nunez is still on 8 as far as I'm aware. Maybe he is on 9, but as far as I'm aware, I think he's still on 8. If he's on 9, then obviously, yeah, that suspension versus United is going to be catastrophic. Um, Edwin says, how are you doing? Hope all is well. Had the same question above Palmer Salah. Look, I mean, Palmer, I think, is going to be the most popular captain. And we can do a poll very quickly just to kind of see where people are at captaincy-wise. So I think Salah, for me, is the captaincy. But I don't think Palmer's a bad captain at all. I just want to kind of go against the crowd a little bit this week, if I'm being honest. Like, that's mostly the reason why I'm doing this. I think Palmer has the best fixture. That's fair. But I think in terms of, level of offense versus level of defense, I do think the gulf between Liverpool and United arguably is similar to, Palmer's Chelsea versus, let's say, Sheffield United. So let's pull the captaincy options and let's see where we're thinking actually. Start Raya or Petrovic? Good question. So, as far as I could see from the clean sheet odds last I checked, I do think Arsenal actually has slightly better clean sheet odds compared to Chelsea. So, I would, of course, in a goalkeeping scenario, take the goalkeeper here. What you'll notice with my team is that I have actually played Gusto ahead of Saliba, and part of that is simply because I think Gusto has slightly higher chances of an attacking return compared to Saliba. So for me, it was a 50-50 decision because the clean sheet odds for Arsenal and Chelsea, I think, are literally 1 to 2% different. And really, there's not much in between it. So I would take this opportunity here to, go for our favorite pick here and go Gusto, who has been extremely disappointing as of late, but hopefully versus Sheffield United can finally produce the goods for us. Other questions in chat? If so, yeah, sorry. Hey, Fran, would you do Garnacho to Foden and still have free hit? I probably would try to go from someone else to Foden because for me, Garnacho, if you don't have a wild card left, right, and you're just slowly trying to build your team towards Gaming 37, I think Garnacho is a very crucial part of that. So I don't really like the Garnacho to Foden transfer personally. Um, Soldier Boy says he still has his free hit left. With which players are good to bring in now, so you can have them pre and post free hit. I mean, so players pre and post now. I think like your Newcastle players, right now are quite good. Your City players are quite good. Just in terms of the fixtures leading up to Gaming 34. The only thing I'd say with Garnacho, of course, is that today's fixture isn't a great fixture. They're still at home, of course, which is nice. But if you compare it to the rest of the field, what's nice about Garnacho actually, and also even for myself, is that he's going to have value for the Game Week 37 bench boost, right? So Garnacho is a very good pick, certainly. More so for me because I don't have a free hit. Whereas obviously free hitters, you'd probably prefer a Newcastle player, a City player, so on and so forth. Interesting captain pick today. Yeah, trying to go a little bit left of field, but obviously it seems like Salah's super popular. And somehow I've swayed the poll into Salah. Maybe people just like Salah because I guess another thing too that's quite funny is this is almost like the reverse of last week's fixtures, right? You've got Salah versus Man United, an awful team where a right winger absolutely demolished them, and then Palmer's the right winger who last week with Salah didn't do absolutely anything for Sheffield United, effectively playing as a right back. So interesting sort of swing here in terms of the fixture. Yeah, Finn also confirms that Darwin's on eight yellow cards, which is exactly what I was thinking too. Robinson or Guardiola to start? I would start Guardiola for sure. Hello, Alfred. Hope you're doing well. Hey, J Wavy. NPC Cook says, after feeling confident in choosing Palmer captain, you're now having doubts due to Man United. Yeah, Man United's defensive numbers are actually worse than Sheffield United in the last 6 games. That's true. Obviously, over the course of the season, it's been Sheffield United that's been noticeably worse. But actually, yeah, United are definitely looking like a team in tatters. And they actually have also, to add to that, a lot of defensive injuries, which sort of, if you're talking about, let's say, the form of a team defensively, it's not good. Branthwaite is an absolutely great transfer, sure, yeah. Hopefully that's how you pronounce your name. I think he's a great transfer. And Everton transfer is fantastic this week, to be honest. Yep. Start Doughty or Pau? I'd probably still start Pau Torres, to be honest. Why have I benched Saka? No specific reason. I just think that there's something to this injury situation, given that this is one of the first few times that I've ever seen Saka not a part of the squad. I just think that he'll probably play diminished minutes, and I'd like to take my chances really with Luis Diaz and Muniz, and that's pretty much why I've decided. Does Saka start? I have no idea whether Saka starts or not, to be quite frank with you guys. I mean, it's possible that he does. I just have no idea really. And unfortunately, that's the best answer I can give you. You've got money, Isak or Muniz. I would still go Isak personally. If you've got money, I'd go Isak. I mean, I decided to go for Luis Diaz over Isak in this sort of situation with my team. It's not worked out exactly well so far, but of course, we'll see how it goes with Luis Diaz versus Man United. Adrian says, hi, Fran. Would you start Bradley or Zabarny? Thanks. I would definitely start. I'd definitely start Zabarny, honestly, because I just think that Bradley's minutes could be low. You never know. It could be a situation where Bradley doesn't play this fixture because Joe Gomez might be preferred to play versus Rashford. And on top of that, too, just Zabarny, in my opinion, still has the better fixture this week. Is Guardiola nailed started till the end of the season? I wouldn't say nailed started till the end of the season. I'm not going to give you that guarantee. I think he's close to being a nailed starter, but I think for sure, given the amount of football Guardiola would have played this week, for example, 3 fixtures in a row, then the Real Madrid game, he's gonna need a rest eventually, right? So for me, Guardiola is definitely someone that I would consider buying, simply because he'll probably just be benched 1 or 2 games max. Choose one to start, Zabarny or Doughty or Burn. I kind of like Doughty in this situation because I think you've got a little bit of attacking threat. I think Burn and Zabarny will concede, and I still think Doughty will concede. So in those situations, I like to take just the best attacking sort of defender. Would I start Sarabia or Gordon? I would probably actually start Sarabia. But I'd prefer if you didn't use the... let's not try to use emojis in chat, guys. Yassine as well, just answer your question quickly. As I said, I would go Doughty, but let's try not to use emojis that spam chat, please. Saka or Odegaard? I would actually probably go with Odegaard in this situation. I think there's a small doubt with Saka, so you can take your chances here and just play Odegaard instead. Captain Isak, I mean, good luck to that. But just gonna have to put you in timeout because of the emojis. It's okay. He if he gets benched in another game weeks beside double game 37, I think it's very probable Guardiola's gonna play. Another thing about Guardiola too is that all these short term fixtures are so good. Sadaka, thank you very much. I appreciate that compliment. Martin, thank you for your super chat. Saka or Barkley, Virgil or Gabriel? I would go Gabriel. I would still go Saka because personally, this is still a pretty bad Barkley fixture. So I would take my chances with Saka. Like, for example, if I had Barkley, right, and in place of Muniz, I'd probably consider actually playing Saka ahead of him. I just wanted to take a little bit of risk this week, and that's why I've gone with that situation. OP Talent, thank you for your super chat. Start Bowen or Muniz. Might transfer Foden in for Bowen and play him of team leagues. I really like the Foden transfer personally. But if you really wanted to ask the question of simply Bowen versus Muniz, I would actually go Muniz easily. I think Muniz just has a better fixture. He's at home. And Newcastle's such a good team to target personally. I wouldn't be worried at all about West Ham's game. It is obviously a pretty good opponent in the sense that it's Wolves away. But really, Newcastle at home is such a nice fixture to target at this moment in time. Where am I from? I'm from Hong Kong, but I'm half Spanish as well. Do I play Hall over Udogi? I would probably still play Udogi personally. I don't know. I don't think this is a great Hall fixture. I don't expect Newcastle to keep a clean sheet personally. Hence why I've also played Muniz. Hey, Fran, would you go for Neto to Sarabia or Eze? Personally, I still like... if you want to play Sarabia this week, then I would go Sarabia. Because, of course, Eze's next two fixtures aren't very good. So, my question to you is whether you're actually going to be using Eze for these two next fixtures, or whether you'd prefer someone like Sarabia, who actually has basically no bad fixtures in between now and 35. TQ says, who would you get for Tony with no free hit left? I'd probably still go for someone like Darwin, honestly. Because I still think he's going to play a fair bit of games, even though Jota's close to coming back. Alternatively, if you don't like Darwin as a pick, just go for Isak. There's also the pick of João Pedro, right? But João Pedro, in a sense, is a bit of a weird one because, for example, in Gameweek 34, he's got a pretty bad fixture. May I have you cover impact of Ramadan fasting on player performance? I mean, the thing is, this isn't the first season that Salah's done Ramadan fasting, right? So he's had good seasons and he's had good moments during that period. He's had a pretty bad game, I would say, for Sheffield United. And I think people do mention, of course, that ultimately, fasting does affect an athlete's performance because it does make them more tired. But the reality, too, is that we've seen a lot of great Ramadan performances. So it's very hard for me to sort of make that judgment call. Like, for an athlete, too, like we've seen incredible Ramadan performances. Kyrie Irving, for example. I don't know if you've been watching him play recently in basketball, but, people can do well and people still can do well. But, of course, you'll see that a lot of athletic departments will not necessarily recommend it, but it's also, a choice of a player as well. So if you look back to the French national team, that was a very controversial issue. But that's all I'm going to say on that. I still think that I wouldn't, for example, consider Ramadan as a factor as to why I shouldn't captain Salah, if that makes sense. And that's ultimately where I'm at. Would you play Eze or Burn? I'd still probably play Eze, to be honest. I still prefer taking an attacker. You're an Arab man from Egypt, and you've been following me for a while, and you like me very much. What do you think of Son? I'd like Son Captain a lot, to be honest. I think Son Captain's very good. Can't put it in a comment now, though, just because I've got to adjust some of the other questions in chat. But Son Captain, I think, is also one of the safest captains, because Richarlison's out for this fixture. You know that he's guaranteed to play centre forward for the whole week, effectively. I believe that the goal-scoring chances for Son and Salah are basically the same. However, obviously, Salah is a little bit more of an assistive player. So if you like that, then of course there's that going for you. Ultimately, too, another thing to mention is that probably slightly better chances as well in terms of just targeting the fixture here. I would say Son obviously has the best home fixture, but United really are awful, and so are Sheffield United. So for me, I think it's almost the three options between Salah, Son, and Palmer. I've decided that Salah is going to be my captain. But if you're not so confident about Salah's minutes, I think Son's going to be the default captain. If you really want to go against the Palmer captaincy, which is going to be the popular captaincy. Does Saka start? Shall I start Odegaard? I don't know whether Saka starts, I'm sorry. But I would probably start Odegaard just because there could be a small chance that Saka might not be able to play the full game. Who would I start between Saka and Gordon? I'd probably still actually start Gordon. What transfers have I made? I've gone for Luis Diaz. And I've gone for Luis Diaz because Pedro Neto was probably likely to fall once again. Luis Diaz is probably going to rise once again. And I just wanted to take my chances here. I've got 0.0 in the bank. It gives me Luis Diaz for the next 2 weeks. And I preferred going and securing Luis Diaz over, let's say, missing the opportunity to go for him. I have already wildcarded. That's correct. Start Gordon or Darwin. I'd probably start Darwin, honestly. I'd still like to target that Man United defense as much as possible. Rohin, thank you so much. Would you take a -4 for Haaland rather than forcing to field 4 defenders? I think wait for a leak for Haaland. If it seems like Haaland's going to start, I'll take my chances here and just start Haaland. Hey, Fran, who to start, Raya or Petrovic? As I said, I think the clean sheet odds actually, very oddly, favor Arsenal. So if you care about that at all, I would just simply go with your Arsenal goalkeeper here. Just because, for example, if I was to, let's say, compare... let's say a Gusto to Saliba, at least Gusto in theory has more chances of getting an attacking return. Whereas obviously, when you're talking about, let's say, the goalkeepers, it's not too close, right? It's just, you're just looking at probably best clean sheet odds. You can't really make too much guesses about saves and things like that. I'd probably actually play Raya personally. Any tips for FPL challenge? I mean, probably just use the sort of bench auto sub sort of work around, start, of course, in terms of fixture order. One thing you can think about too is filling your bench up with players who play within Man City. So wait for your City leaks. Put Haaland on the bench, put Foden on the bench, put potentially Guardiola on the bench as well. And then you can actually play around with the deadline and, the workarounds with all the transfers and so on and so forth. And you can fill up your main team with probably, I would still say, some Liverpool attackers, because ultimately United are awful. Someone like Palmer, your Spurs players as well. Defensively, too, if you don't really like Spurs, I still think that there's a good chance for clean sheet odds, probably from this Everton team. So if from an FPL challenge perspective, I hope that's the advice that I can give you. McAllister is a good option. I think so. He's a very good differential. The biggest thing with McAllister, too, is whether Wataru Endo is obviously back, right? Because obviously if Endo is back, it means that McAllister can play in a more advanced position, which is going to be better for FPL. Is Saka confirmed bench? Not at all. Pau Torres is a good or bad option? I think Pau Torres is a great option. I just seem to have a very strong bench this week, so I've decided to take this chance to sort of put Pau Torres on my bench. Do you bench Branthwaite over Gabriel, Zabarnyi, Gusto? I think you bench him over Zabarnyi personally. Shall I start Saka or Garnacho? I'd still start Saka personally. Would you start Watkins ahead of Saka this week? I probably would, to be honest, because I think there's a bit of doubt over Saka. And I think Watkins, he's probably either going to play 90 or 0. Whereas with Saka, I'm not so sure about that because, the more important fixture might actually really be that Bayern Munich fixture. Start one, Doughty, Pau, or Zabarnyi. I'd probably actually go with Doughty, as I said. Actually, I might go for Pau here. I think Pau's actually got a reasonable chance of clean sheets, and I'd take Pau Torres. Would you start Watkins ahead of Saka this week? Yeah, I would. Hi, friend. Start 2 from White, Udogi, Doughty, and Gusto. I'd go with White and Udogi personally. Tony out for Solanke, and is it worth to get Foden? For example, I've got Saliba, right? But I actually think White has more attacking threat than Saliba. So I would actually use that opportunity to go White over Saliba as well, if I had the chance of going for White. Isak or Saka this week? I'd probably go for Isak. Aitner, a good pick. I think he's a fantastic pick, honestly. The Red Cup Debate podcast, Aitner or Romero. I'd probably still go with Aitner. I just really like the attacking threat. He's going to play advanced once again, which is huge. Start Saka or Cunha? I'd probably actually go with Cunha, honestly. I think he starts. I think coming after the benching, it's probably likely that he's going to start. So I'd take my opportunities here with that. Another thing too is I'm probably going to start looking at leaks very, very shortly, just so we can kind of get a feel for whether we have any City leaks whatsoever, or whether we've got a Saka leak on the way too. But it doesn't seem like we've gotten any leaks so far, at least from players like or from managers like Tony. So yeah, that's something to think about. In terms of clean sheet odds, by the way, I just wanted to sort of put that in the ether. So we've got Chelsea with slightly higher clean sheet odds than Arsenal on market. But it seems like the odds have actually moved in favor of Arsenal recently. So I've seen odds as well that show that Arsenal have slightly higher clean sheet odds, which is interesting. Take of that what you will. Everton actually have higher clean sheet odds than both, and Man City have the highest clean sheet odds this week. Although some people don't believe in the clean sheet odds of Man City, and that's totally fine, isn't it? MPass as well. Thank you so much for your super chat. I think I might have missed that earlier on, but thank you so much. MPass87, sorry. So if you've got any questions in chat, MPass, just feel free to drop it as well, and I'll look out for it. Stefan says, who to change out? Have Dubravka, Areola, Morris, Richarlison, have 3 Arsenal and Liverpool, also have Son. I mean, Son's fantastic. There's nothing I would do really with him this week. I think he's a great pick still. Triple Arsenal, Liverpool, no complaints there. I'd probably, take this opportunity to maybe move Richarlison out of your team, because it's not like Richarlison's going to give you any sort of use up until, your dead end 34. So I'd probably take Richarlison out of the team right now. He seems like the least capable player. And at the same time, you've got a good chance to just get a good midfielder in, who'll probably also play on Gameweek 34. So I think Sarabia is like a good example of that. Frederick says, hey, Fran, super content analysis, save a chance. No, I wouldn't take a -4 to go Diaz, personally. I would save it. I would save your transfer. I didn't -4 to go Diaz. I just went for him because I was kind of restricted on price, and I wouldn't be able to make that move next week. MJack says, please rank this week only Virgil van Dijk, Ryan Ait-Nouri, Gabriel Gusto. I'd go Ryan Ait-Nouri, Gabriel Gusto, then Virgil van Dijk. Is my captaincy locked in? For the most part, yes. It's pretty close, though, I will say, captaincy this week. I think it's definitely going to be a pretty wild swing for a lot of us managers. But, I mean, what can you do with an opportunity like this? I just unfortunately think that this is, the reality. We just have to sort of manage it like so. Muniz or Garnacho? I'd still go Muniz. I think home fixture here versus a much easier defensive opponent, so I would take the chance with Muniz versus Garnacho. To start Tony or Garnacho, I would actually probably go Garnacho. Home fixture there for Garnacho. Equally, I would say tough fixtures considering the sort of quality of offense. And then also the midfield versus sort of forward gamble. Saka or Darwin bench? I'd probably Saka bench if you wanted to. Saleh says, current team, Kelleher, Ait-Nouri, Gabriel Zabarni. Son captaincy, Palmer, Salah, Odegaard, Solanke, Isak, Holland. Bench, Areola, McAllister. I think you've got the team right, to be honest. I think you've got the team right. It's not like Areola could play, but I think it's unlikely, right? He's already been ruled out as far as I understand. Doughty. I might play Doughty over Zabarni is the only thing I might recommend in that situation. Because I think Doughty's got the home fixture. I think most of these teams and players will concede. I'd probably actually play Robinson or Doughty over Zabarni, honestly. I think Zabarni concedes. I don't think there's a need to sort of overreact on the clean sheet that Bournemouth got last week. I do think that they will lose the clean sheet ultimately. So take of that what you will. Larav, thank you for your super chat. And also thank you, Saleh, as well. You've got 2 free transfers. Your defense is Ryan Ait-Nouri, Virgil van Dijk, Gusto, White, Robinson. Considering transferring an Everton defender, who to bring in looking forward to play Gameweek 34 and play. So I think it just comes down to your budget, right? Personally, I think Tarkowski has the highest goal threat because, of course, if you look at the set pieces, Tarkowski is the player who is the most sort of active in terms of the aerials. But, of course, if you want to save a little bit of money, so if, let's say, the Branthwaite 4.3 million is something that's actually more important to you, given the 0.3 million cost saving on Tarkowski, then just go for Branthwaite. Because, personally, I don't like Mikolenko too much, and I don't like Godfrey because I don't think he's nailed. So I would actually take that choice between Tarkowski or Branthwaite and make that decision if you really wanted to go for an Everton defender. I will also say, though, that your defense this week still looks very, very good. But ultimately, of course, if you get an Everton defender, you can obviously just play White, Ryan Ait-Nouri, and probably your Everton defender. And I think that's a very strong defense for this week. Double Arsenal defense or start Ait-Nouri. I would start Ait-Nouri over your second Arsenal defender probably. I just think this is such a good week for Ait-Nouri. Bowen captaincy. I mean, I don't really think about Bowen captaincy at all, but if you want to go for it, go for it. Morning, Fran. Who would you start out of Gusto, Gabriel, Guardiola, Ait-Nouri? I'd probably go Gabriel, Guardiola, Ait-Nouri. And I'd probably bench Gusto reluctantly. So, for example, in my bench order here, I would actually bench Gusto. Like, for me, the decision in my team is between Gusto and Saliba, as opposed to, let's say, between Gabriel, Gusto, and Saliba. I think Gabriel has slightly higher goal threat. I'd take that at all times. Pedro Neto to whom? 1 million wildcard in Gaming 35, no free hit. I think you can just go Sarabia this week. You can just go Sarabia. Sasan says, would you play Doughty if you had him instead of Pau Torres? No, I'd still play Pau Torres ahead of him, to be honest. Start Saka or Garnacho. I would still start Saka. Saka news since you have him benched. I don't have any Saka news. I have him benched because I prefer Muniz and Luis Diaz, and it's a kind of gut call for me. Start Muniz or Gusto. I would definitely start Muniz. Double Arsenal or Ait Nuri. I think I would definitely go with Ait Nuri, just so that I can take the punt on the attacking player versus a pretty poor defense in West Ham. White, Porro, Guardiola, Tarkovsky, who to bench? I'd probably bench White reluctantly. I mean, it's between White and Porro for me. I think I'd definitely play Guardiola, Tarkovsky. Sell Saka for Diaz or Pau to Ait. I think Pau to Ait is a very good move. How many starts do you think for Guardiola until the end of the season? I mean, I can't answer this, but I probably think he'll get benched 1 or 2 times maximum. Salah says also, if Haaland is not starting, would you bench him? Obviously, yeah. If Haaland is not starting, I would definitely bench him. I'd put Saka into my team. Foden doesn't start. Who's saying that though? I didn't see anyone. Phil Foden does not start. Apparently, that's the news, guys. Phil Foden does not start. I'm gonna have to put that in chat. That's huge. But that to me also suggests that Haaland will probably start, if I'm honest, if Foden doesn't start. Do I think Gusto is nailed? I think for this week he is. I missed the super chat. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Which super chat did I miss? Oh, MPass87. So thank you so much. Virgil van Dijk or Pau Torres? I'd definitely play Pau Torres here this week. So Virgil van Dijk, obviously slightly better goal threat. But MPass, I would go with Pau Torres personally because, and also thank you so much for being a member for this month. Thank you for joining as well. I apologize for missing that earlier. I'm not sure why I didn't get the notification, but definitely I would go with Pau Torres, slightly higher clean sheet odds. Just to talk about clean sheet odds as well, I believe that the Aston Villa clean sheet odds are something like 29%. Liverpool's clean sheet odds, unfortunately, are 24%. So in that situation, I think I would take the opportunity to bench Virgil van Dijk, and yeah, I would call it a day there. Thank you again for joining as a member. Great news, Foden. I mean, Foden could ruin us again off the bench, but hopefully he doesn't destroy us. You know, happy days for some of us. I'm kind of feeling like I want to go for a late Sun captaincy. I don't know though, but United are so bad. They're so bad. But Sun's been. Do you guys actually think that Salah will be subbed off before 85 minutes? Let me actually do a little bit of a poll in chat because I'm curious. Someone wants to captain Muniz. Fair enough. I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? Like you can't really. Yeah, it's a close call, I would say, ultimately. I don't know why I can't make a poll. All right, here we go. I'm going to do it like a Salah Mins poll. So it's going to be like. Like, let's just set like a random threshold. Like, do you think he's going to play over 85 minutes or under 85 minutes? Because I think under 85 minutes is the territory where I start to think that Sun captain might be the way forward. But it's super close, isn't it? Rule number 1, always captain home captain. Rule number 2, never forget rule no one. All right, Sujan, that's a good rule, or a good set of rules, rather. Focus flow with Tabia says, Ait Nuri or double Arsenal defense. I kind of like going for Ait Nuri as a punt, personally. Foden not starting, that's huge. Go Palmer. Luca says, you can go Palmer. I want to take the chance here with a bit of risk. Gareth, thank you so much for joining as a manager of the channel. Welcome to manager. Should be a fair few emojis as well, ready and available for you. Foden out to Diaz this week or next. Look, I mean, if Foden's benched this week, I hope that sort of, you can make a decision there. Yeah, we know Foden's not starting, mate. It's also my pinned comment, so we don't need to rehash that one. But that's a fairly big piece of news, I have to say. A fairly big piece of news. Foden, after absolutely mauling us to pieces, does not start. Fran, have you played your bench boost yet? No, I haven't, Luna. I will be bench boosting around Gameweek 37. But I will be considering about playing an earlier bench. I would also consider an earlier bench boost as well. Ultimately, this week, though, I just don't think I've got a great team. So, a slight doubt in terms of the validity of some of my picks this week. And, I mean, that's that. Pretty weak bench, I would say. White or Porro? I'd probably go with Porro, but if you don't really back or rate the Tottenham defense, I would just go with White. It's a pretty close to 50-50 for me. I mean, Spurs ultimately have more clean sheet odds. Whether you believe that or not, take that information with what you will. Porro does have slightly better underlying stats compared to White too, so I think it's a pretty clear Porro week, but I can understand people's sentiments about. The only leak that we've had so far is that Foden is apparently benched. I don't even know if Foden's in the squad, to be honest. Yeah, but keep in mind, guys, transferring out Foden isn't going to feel so good when he plays versus Luton, right? He's going to play Luton very, very shortly. So that's something to think about in terms of how you guys are estimating the transfer. I'm just going to have to adjust my lighting. I apologize there. Just kind of ran out of lighting there. All right, that's fixed now. Apologies about that. Will Watkins play? I'm not sure, but I still think that he's going to be in that sort of 90-0 territory. So I wouldn't be too worried about Watkins. So let's say if you started Watkins and you had an auto sub, I think that's perfectly fine. I can't guarantee whether Watkins is going to start, though. So that's going to be a tricky issue for you to probably navigate. In terms of fan funding as well, have I missed anything? I don't think so, no. But thank you guys as well for the support so far. And thank you guys as well for joining the stream. If you guys could like the stream, that would be absolutely lovely. Subscribe as well if you can, if you haven't already. So a lot of people seem to be generally, basically confident that Salah's going to play over 85 minutes, which I think is totally fine. Under 85 minutes likely for Salah. I think we really need to factor the impact of Ramadan fasting. I mean, the thing is, though, like in previous seasons, have we seen Salah's minutes that diminished, TS, is all I'm going to ask in terms of his minutes. Because I can't recall that his minutes have, for example, severely dwindled during this sort of period of year. Maybe I'm wrong, actually. Will Kirior start? I really can't confirm that. I think he very will. Saka seen in Brighton. Are you sure about that? Where's the news about Saka apparently? Guys, yeah, I don't know. I can't really see any Saka related news in terms of him traveling. So what Andy has mentioned is that he thinks that he'll be in the squad versus Brighton. His money is on a start, and he's mentioned that we shouldn't be too worried about him not being in the squad versus Luton. Team News FPL apparently said that Saka traveled with a squad to Brighton, but I don't even know if Team News FPL is is really a serious account. Like, who's actually confirmed that? I don't know. I haven't seen any news about, like, genuine news. Who's like an authenticated third party that we can say? Anyways, going back to chat questions. Transfer Night New Year or for Moreno? I think that's a great transfer, Milos. Hey, Fran, thoughts on Garnacho to McAllister this week? I mean, George, are you sort of wildcarding 35? Is that the plan there? Because I wouldn't really go McAllister because I think Garnacho is such a good hold for the bench who's 37. But of course, if you've got a wild card in your back pocket, then I can understand. Estoy aprendiendo español para 3 meses. Nice one, Subam. Congratulations on your 3 months of Spanish. FPL Buna. Yeah, okay. Buna's just trolling, so Buna's Buna, isn't he? Captain McAllister, I think it's too risky, mate. I don't think I'd Captain McAllister. Play Boner Muniz. I'd probably play Muniz personally. Am I excited for WrestleMania? I'm probably gonna watch WrestleMania, but I don't think I'm gonna be awake for the second night of WrestleMania because I've got to go to work in the next morning, so I'll rewatch it. Are you guys excited for WrestleMania? Should I take a hit for Douglas Luiz to Garnacho? I don't think it's worth the hit, my friend. There's been injury concerns all season. He will start. I mean, did he start last week, Raz? Did he start last week? Um, so Buna, a very notorious FPL Twitter troll, has tweeted that Saka has I'm seeing some of my friends get Buna, which is just hilarious to me. Like, it's 2024 and we're still getting baited by Buna. Class. Captain Palmer, no. I think Captain Palmer is fantastic. I just want to take a little bit of risk here. Any news on Holland starting? Personally, I think that all the leakers could have mentioned that um, they could have mentioned that Holland is not starting already, right? That would have been a huge piece of news. I think Holland is 100% starting. Um, yeah. Would you start Garnacho or Pau? I would probably start Garnacho still. I'd still go for the attacker. Who to start, Foden or Saka? I would go Saka because unfortunately Foden seems like he's benched, my friend. Petro versus Raya, I'd go with Raya, higher clean sheet odds. Bench Muniz or Darwin, I'd probably bench. I'd probably bench Muniz just about, to be honest. Hi, Fran. Play Doughty or Morris. I'd probably play Morris, if I'm honest. Start Muniz or Virgil van Dijk. I'd go Muniz easily. Why Saka first bench? I just wanted to play Muniz and Luis Diaz ahead of him. Why would someone bench a player after 3 goals? Because probably the more important fixture is Real Madrid. Start Saka or Douglas Luiz? Saka for me. Still. Why Gusto over Saliba? 50-50 gut call. Yeah, it's a tough one. Still don't actually know whether Saka's traveled or not. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough call, right? Foden's benched ultimately. Saka, I think, apparently, according to Andy, has traveled. Well, actually, I don't know if Andy specifically said he's traveled. He says he thinks he'll be in the squad, and his money's on a start. But I don't know whether that really confirms whether Saka's starting, which is very, very different. Yeah. Start Doughty or Kirkes. I'd probably go Doughty. Diaz in for Saka. Nice. Why would I start Muniz and bench Saka? Because I don't know whether Saka is going to play 90 minutes of football. Ultimately, Brereton Diaz will score against us, bro. Don't play Gusto. But the thing is, I think even Arsenal will concede versus Brighton. I just think that the odds are pretty decent. Brereton Diaz also didn't score versus Liverpool, although a couple other players were pretty close. Start Garnacho, Saka. I'd still go Saka probably. Kiwi or Gusto. I prefer Gusto still. Is Guardiola starting? I don't know, but I think he will start. I just can't see why he wouldn't because there's so many injuries. Same logic used on Watkins, you could use on Saka. Yes, but I think the biggest thing is that Saka also has a more important fixture coming up, which is versus Bayern Munich. Whereas Watkins, this is like if you, for example, looked at the sandbagging that was what Aston Villa did versus Man City in the previous fixture. For me, there's absolutely no reason. Like, okay, fine, yes, of course, Aston Villa are in the Europa Conference League, but in reality, I think getting fourth place in the Premier League is probably more important for them, anyways. They're just lucky in the sense that Tottenham have actually dropped a ton of points. So, um, United have a good record against Liverpool at home. Hopefully, a close. I mean, I mean, yes, but I'm still gonna take my chances with Salah because they've been awful. Dino says, Fran, what's up? Godnat says Zabarni, Gross, or Bradley to start. I'd probably start. I'd probably start Gross if I'm honest. Gross to Diaz, I probably wouldn't do for a -4 either. I can't really check Discord today. The chat is flowing. I'm sorry. Is Guardiola worth buying? I think you just play double Arsenal. I don't think there's a need to go Guardiola if you want to play double Arsenal. Monks, thank you so much for your super chat. Reasoning for Salah over Palmer. Ultimately, I just think that it's almost like the reverse of last week's fixture. Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe United's actually a lot worse than we thought, and I think that's the reality too. United, with all their defensive injuries and simply how they're playing right now, seem like an easier team to target. Both the way, I think Salah probably is going to play more than 85 minutes today. That's my sort of guess, at least as someone who's captaining him. So I'm going to take that opportunity to play him. As far as who would I bench between, and also the reason why I'm not going for Palmer too is because I think he is the most popular captaincy, and I'd like to take a little bit of risk as well today. So that's part of the reasoning. If you don't want to take that risk, I think Palmer's a perfectly good captain. Stylistically as well, I think you could say back five Sheffield United a little bit tougher for a right winger maybe, but we didn't use that argument last week, so I think that's all obviously very narrative based. Ultimately, the goal scoring odds are also leaning, I think, towards Salah over Palmer, so something to think about too. Your last part of the question was who would I bench between Zabarni, Gabriel, Gusto, and Aït-Nouri? I think Zabarni is very, very easily the person that I would bench. First of all, he's actually got worse clean sheet odds than Gabriel and Gusto, and then Aït-Nouri is just such an attacking player where I think that makes such a huge difference. Tony Harrison, thank you so much for being joining as a manager as well. Really appreciate you joining as a member of the channel. Thank you once again. FPL Buna is a troll account. Do not believe in Buna, guys. He is trolling. So the news about Saka is not true in terms of him not traveling. Dan Watson says, "Hey mate, which one do you think I should bench? Salah, Gordon, Palmer, Son, Saka, Tony, Solanke, Darwin. I think you should bench Tony in that situation. I think Tony's got probably the worst fixture there. He's got the best defensive opponent out of all the sort of matchups, and so yeah, I would take my chances." To be honest, I'm kind of feeling like I want to go for a Son captaincy. Dan Watson says, "Hey, mate, I'm sorry, I've already answered that question. Apologies. I'm really feeling like a Son captaincy right now." uh, all right, shall we swap the captaincy around? Heung-min Son, legendary player. So is Palmer, so is Salah, so is Holland. Shall we take our chances? I just think United are the worst team, but then I also can't help but feel Son is such a close captaincy pick. This is so annoying. It's so close. I'll probably keep it on Salah, to be honest. A little bit reluctantly, but I think I will keep it on Salah. All right, so start Doughty, Power, Zabarni. I'd go with Pau. Pau Torres is actually the best clean sheet odds out of all those players there. do Elanga to Gordon this week, or wait if Gordon gets... No, I would go Gordon this week. Because it's not even a good Elanga fixture, is it? Start Garnacho, Sarabia. I'd start Sarabia. Palmer won't get pens every week. You say so, but he kind of does. They finally unlocked payment options on YouTube for my home country. Thank you so much, Canan. I really appreciate that. Start double Arsenal defense or start Gusto, Bradley, and Gabriel. I would probably... I mean, look, I've gone for Gusto starting over my double Arsenal defense. I do think I think double Arsenal defense and Gusto are better than Bradley this week. So let's just sort of put that out there as a thought. So I'm not sure who your third defender is. So for me, it would come down to that. If you can play double Arsenal defense and Gusto, I think that's fine. But if you've actually got a third better defender, I guess that 50-50 has to be who your non-Gabriel Arsenal defender is, and then Gusto, and you make that decision there. Start Saka or Conor Bradley. I think I'd start Saka. Has Foden been benched? Yep, Foden apparently is benched. Pau or Virgil Torres? I'm sorry. What am I saying? Pau Torres or Virgil van Dijk? I'd go with Pau Torres. Bowen for Saka. What do you mean as a transfer? I probably wouldn't do that. Start Muniz or Foden. I'd go Muniz. Obviously, Foden's benched. Will Haaland start? I think Haaland starts. Start Gusto or Virgil van Dijk. I think I would start Gusto personally. Hi, Fran. Gusto or Branthwaite. I would actually go Branthwaite. Fran, brother, to bring in Branthwaite or Ait-Nouri. I still think I like Ait-Nouri a little bit more just for the attacking haul potential. You know, you don't often get chances for a defender to play effectively as a, part of the front three. So take that opportunity. Would you take a hit to transfer out and an injured Lascelles to bring Ait-Nouri to start over Saka? I probably wouldn't, Max, honestly. I think Saka seems like he's going to play, apparently. Virgil van Dijk, Robinson, Udogie start one. I'd go Udogie personally. Home fixture there. I'll take that chance. And still better clean sheet odds than Fulham. Fran, brother, who to bring in, Branthwaite or Ait-Nouri? What do you think? I still think Ait-Nouri is the sort of high-risk play, but I really like it. Branthwaite feels like the sort of safer play. Up to you, really. Gabriel or Doughty, I'd go with Gabriel. Start Pau or Doughty, I would still start Pau Torres personally. Pretty good clean sheet odds for both Pau. Opinions on McAllister, you can't quite afford Diaz. I like McAllister a lot, and I think Endo seems like he's close to coming back. But would I be so confident about playing McAllister today? Probably not. When do you play wildcard? I think if you've got free hit, you can play it already. If you don't have a free hit, just wildcard 35. How's the situation with Gordon yellow cards? He's on 8 yellow cards, so I don't think there's any risk really to bringing in Gordon. I think you can totally bring him in this week. Fran, start 3 of Ait-Nouri, Gusto, Gabriel, Guardiola, Bradley. I think I'd go Guardiola, Ait-Nouri, and Gabriel and call it a day there. And Saka or Sarabia, I'd still go Saka. Start Konsa or Reguilon. I would go Konsa because I don't think Reguilon's minutes are guaranteed. Reguilon also has a bad fixture. Wildcard 34 versus 35. No free hit left. I would go wildcard 35. Do I play Semenyo or Saliba, benching Foden now? So you have this weird dilemma. Interesting. I think I would play Semenyo, honestly. I think Semenyo starts. He just got a rest effectively, so I'd take that opportunity easily. Douglas Luiz to Gordon for a -4. No, I don't think that's worth a -4, mate. I'd probably actually start Douglas Luiz. He's still ultimately at home, isn't he, versus Brentford? So Bradley or Douglas Luiz, I think you start Douglas Luiz easily. Anoni says 2 transfers. Just looking at your team, I'd probably just say get a defender and roll, or get a goalkeeper and roll. I don't think a Burn transfer is that sensible, though. I'd probably prefer a Man City defender. Virgil van Dijk / Robinson / Udogie start one. I've already answered the question a couple times. I think I'd go Udogie quite easily just because he's probably the most attacking. But if you want to go for Robinson as a bit of a differential, go for him. Virgil van Dijk, I'd put quite comfortably at the back of your bench. Jay Wavy says, "Hey Fran, should I take Pau out for Guardiola and start him over Gusto?" I really do like that move. Yeah, I would do that. The one thing with Sarabia too is that Hwang's probably going to ultimately affect Sarabia's minutes going forward. So I do think Sarabia is not as appetizing a pick. Just looking at Madison to Garnacho / so just trying to respond to Tony's question / similar price and Tony to Holland for a -4. Have free hit and bench boost to go. Yeah, I think that's sensible because if you've got free hit and bench boost to go, the only thing I would say though is that Madison's very likely he's going to double in Game Week 35. We already know that. That's been confirmed. So I'm not sure if I love the idea of going into Garnacho, but I can understand you wanting to do so. The only concern I'd say is Garnacho, for example, on 34, you're going to free hit one of his best fixtures anyways. So I kind of like keeping Madison, but are there any alternative moves that you can get towards Haaland for? Or maybe you could even skip Haaland potentially. Because I guess you'll miss the Luton fixture, but if you're concerned about the Luton fixture, maybe you could just make the transfer for the Luton fixture next week instead and just play Madison this week. Um, if you have to play Tony, though, I can kind of understand making the move this week because obviously Aston Villa is not a perfect fixture. Um, but is there anyone else in your team that you can sort of break apart? Because the only thing, as I said, is that Madison's going to be a bit of a big loss, I suppose, on wildcard 35. Can I explain captain choice, please? Well, I just wanted to go against Palmer just because I wanted to take a little bit of risk. And Salah, ultimately, insane underlying stats. Man United, absolutely awful team. Very, very close between all of these picks. So it's a tough one, I would say. But I've ultimately decided to take a little bit of risk here with Salah because I think the dominant captaincy choice will be Palmer. So for me, I think Palmer's the safest pick. But I want to take my chances here versus a United team that look awful as of late. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much sort of how I've come towards that conclusion anyways. Even, for example, like when we talk about, away defenses and things like that and home defenses, United have been pretty markedly poor as a home defense, really. As far as a team like Nottingham Forest, for example, at home, they've been a pretty comfortable defense. Away, they're closer towards the bottom half. So once again, it seems like all the captaincies are very, very close. Crystal Palace, I'd say, is the only team where I'd say they're so defensive that I don't really like Holland's captaincy option. So for me, it's actually between the three picks. And then Sheffield United, we don't really need to talk about them. They are, the worst home defense in the Prem. And they are one of the bottom sort of away defenses in the Prem as well. So obviously, since Sheffield United are at home, you might even say that's probably actually the best fixture to target with Palmer too. But make of that what you will. I think home and away, it's hard to sort of make that decision. But like KDB starts as well. Big piece of news from FPL Tony. Let me see if there's any other FPL news from Tony. So he's basically just confirmed that Foden's out and KDB's in. That's all we've gotten so far. Why not Captain Holland? As I said, I think Crystal Palace are the most defensive team. Joe Diego says, genuine question for once. Bench Wood, Kyrgios, Douglas Luiz. I'd play Douglas Luiz, honestly. Douglas Luiz is at home. I'd take that chance. Given Luis Diaz's upcoming price rise, does it make sense to transfer Saka out from this week and then transfer Son out next week to bring Saka back in? I think that makes sense. But the thing is, Saka could just play, right? Saka could just play. So I would just wait for next week and just go Son to Diaz. I wouldn't chase a price rise, for now. I still think Saka is a safe play. All right, I've actually got to make some decisions about my team now. We've been messing around too much, but here we are. So I think I'm still leaning towards a Salah cap. Muniz, I would actually really like to play. I do think that I'm probably going to be benching Saka. So that's the position that I do find myself in. I think I'll also play Luis Diaz and reluctantly bench. I mean, good question, actually. Do you guys think I should go, do you guys think I should actually go with Saka over Muniz to start? Brother, Salah cap is the way United have Willie starting at centre half. You guys think I should play Saka over Muniz? Start Saka. Definitely no. We didn't get any Saka news. I'm just sort of reacting to things on the fly myself. Would I ever consider... If I knew that Muniz was on penalties, I'd probably consider it. But no. Sadly, I don't have any leaks. I just think for me, right, like, I think Muniz is going to start. I think Luis Diaz is going to start. I don't know whether Saka is going to start at all. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to Stone starts. I mean, who cares about Stone starting? My God. Why did we get this news? Okay, Stone starts, but who cares? Who owns Stones in FPL? Does anybody here own Stones in FPL? Willem, thank you so much for the super chat. Foden to Odegaard thoughts. If you've got a wildcard 35, I think it makes sense because Foden's benched. You take the opportunity to play Odegaard. But I would also say that this is not a great Odegaard fixture, right? So if you can go Luis Diaz instead, I think I'd rather go Luis Diaz because Luis Diaz versus United is for me better than Odegaard versus Brighton. Now, if you think Saka's out, then I guess that's better. Do I think Watkins starts? I do think he starts. Power Ait Nuri, I would go Ait Nuri. Seems pretty 50-50 on the Muniz Saka stuff, so I'll take my chances. Take a little bit of risk in the team, you know how it is. Don't captain Salah. Okay. Start Saka. Has Saka been in team training? We wouldn't know because Arsenal are quite wise about not showing team photos. Pau Torres or Ait Nuri. I'd go Ait Nuri easily. Salah better than Palmer? Not necessarily. No, I think Palmer's the safest one. I just want to go a little bit differential. Sunny captaincy. Start 2 of Saka, Muniz, Sarabia. It's a close one. Hey. I think Salah and Son captaincy is so close. I just think I'll take my chances. You know what? Son's probably going to be the biggest differential that I'm going to get. Yeah, I might go Son captain. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Those twins, Pau to Ait Nuri or roll. I like Ait Nuri. Need to also sell Douglas Luiz. I mean, just sell Douglas Luiz then, because I think Pau is a perfectly reasonable play. Like, if you're gonna take a hit to sell Pau, don't do it. Does KDB starting make Haaland a tempting captain? It's a good point, to be honest. It's a good point. It's a very good point, actually. KDB starting does make Haaland a much likelier captaincy. I just think I've been watching United recently, and they're awful. They're awful. I'm sorry, United. I'm sorry. You've just been a bad boy, and an awful team. EP44, thank you so much for the super chat. If you got any questions, I'll be looking out for that. Foden's not playing on the wing though. Foden's not starting at all. Haaland's gonna score 5. You heard it here first. Well, go on, Captain Haaland. Yazan, why can't you send a super chat? Is it just banned in your country? Played my wildcard team ID 367327. I'll have a look at that. Why not? Let's have a look. Right, so your team. You've played your wild card. I mean, Alex Moreno for me is a pretty. I mean, I'd probably sell Richarlison, honestly. You play Haaland this week. You play Solanke. You play Salah, Palmer, Son. You play Gabriel. You play Branthwaite. You play Romero. I think that's fine. You play Petrovic once again. Probably replace Richarlison with a better player. And that's it. You probably want to play. I'd still actually play Morris personally. I'd play Morris. I'd go 3-4-3. I'd just replace Richarlison with someone maybe like. If you played your wild card already, it doesn't seem like you've got. Maybe it seems like do you have a free hit or not? I'd probably go for a Gordon or a Garnacho or a Sarabia, just depending on whether you have a free hit or not. I can't tell whether you have. But yeah. Do we have any additional leaks? Doesn't seem like we have any additional leaks today. Just gonna quickly check for other leaks. Hope that answers your question, Josh. Oh, you played your wild card this week. Oh, you mean recommendations for your wild card, Josh? I mean, wild card wise, I mean, what can I do in terms of recommending for the wild card? So what I would say is if you've, I mean, once again, it depends whether you've got a free hit, Josh. So if you let me know, I can probably give you some suggestions, some pointers over the next 9 minutes. Can we go over the leaks again? John Stones starts, KDB starts, Foden is benched. Fran, you read the question. Start two of Saka, Muniz, Arabia. I'd probably go Saka, Muniz, and start those two. Super chat. Did I miss someone's super chat? Apologies about that. Oh, sorry, Villa, Foden to Odegaard. No, I did answer that one. Luis Diaz to Odegaard. Sorry, Hajir, my bad. That's my bad completely. Luis Diaz to Odegaard. I mean, why would you want to go out of Luis Diaz though? I'm kind of confused. Or do you mean Luis Diaz or Odegaard? I kind of like Luis Diaz over Odegaard this week, if that's your question. Which of these three would you drop? Garnacho, Pau Torres, or Gabriel? I'd probably drop Pau Torres. Play Odegaard or Gordon? I'd probably play Gordon. Do you think Stone starting might affect Guardiola's start chance? I don't think so, no. Stone starting is usually indicative of Walker being benched, right? Or Walker not being ready. So I think that's more of like a midfield setup thing. B. Basmi says bench Saka or Gordon. I'd probably bench Gordon. Pau or Saliba. I'd probably bench Pau Torres, which means I'd start Saliba. Fran, I know you support a La Liga team, but if you had to support one EPL team, which would it be? I don't know, actually. It might really be Chelsea, but it's not like I don't love Chelsea, so I don't really care, ultimately. I'm pretty unbiased. Grealish starts. Interesting. I don't think Rico Lewis is starting. So I think... I don't know. I think Gomez and Robertson are pretty close to coming. Grealish starts. I mean, that's... I don't know why Tony's telling us Stone starts when we want to know whether Guardiola starts or not. Start Muniz, Solanke, or Gordon. I think Muniz, Solanke is probably the best. Grealish starts, yeah, that's correct. Gusto or Pau Torres, I'd probably go Gusto. Bradley or Gusto, I'd go Gusto still. Notorious, should I sell Saka for Diaz? No, I still think you should keep Saka personally. Because I don't know for certain Saka's going to be benched. I'm just going to take a little bit of risk here this week. Why Gabriel over Saliba? Just better XG. Better header of the ball. Power Ait Nuri, I'd probably Ait Nuri for sure. I just think Ait Nuri is much more attacking. It's good little upside punt here versus West Ham. Is Akanji starting? No clue. Ronik says transfer Saka out for Diaz or Gordon. I don't think... Why are we transferring Saka out this week, guys? Fran, shall I swap Garnacho for Sarabia? Garnacho's got better fixtures going forward, but without Saka and Holland, he will have to play this game week. I think playing Garnacho is perfectly fine this week, my friend. Honestly. He's still at home at the bare minimum. And if there's anything I can give credit for Liverpool for, it's mostly their attack as opposed to their defense. We've got 5 minutes to go, and we don't even know where the Guardiola starts. Okay, interesting. Well, I'm just going to start Guardiola anyways. Captaincy-wise, I'm going to refresh my page just to make sure my team actually looks like it's correctly set up. So I've got Salah captain. I've got Saka on the bench. I've got Muniz starting. I'll take my chances. Should have quickly post my team on Twitter because I think I'm locked in anyways, so it is what it is. In the meantime, I'll also be looking out for some leaks on Twitter, so just don't mind me whilst I'm on my phone for a moment, and I'll get back to chat questions very, very quickly. Alrighty, so chat questions. So Grealish starts, KDB starts, Foden is benched is the biggest piece of news that we have so far. My understanding, of course, is that it's probably just going to be a Haaland start as well. Garnacho or Darwin, I would start Darwin for sure. Zabarni or Doughty, I would go Doughty. Tony or Havertz, I would go Havertz. Any reason to not captain Palmer? No reason at all. I'm just taking some risk here with the Son or Salah captaincy. Salah says start McAllister or Odegaard. I kind of like McAllister because I think there's a pretty high chance that Endo is going to come back for this game. You've bottled the Son captaincy and give it to Salah. I think that's fair, mate. Salah's such a good captaincy pick. Why Muniz over Saka? I don't really know whether Saka's going to play 90 minutes, so I'll just take my chances. Is Haaland starting? I think he is, but I can't. The selection suggests that Haaland is going to play, in my opinion. Am I set on Salah captaincy? I am indeed. So let's see what happens, of course. I'm sure someone else will score. Plenty good amounts. You never know. Just gonna quickly post my team. Alvarez starts. Oh God, is that true? Who's saying Alvarez starts? Tony saying Alvarez starts. Okay, so we got no Haaland news up until the deadline. What is this? Wait, you're playing Grealish, Alvarez, KDB. Foden's bench though. Does that mean where's Haaland playing? Oh, is that Alvarez 10 next to KDB? Doesn't seem to make sense though. No Haaland on Twitter. Nah, man. This game is not serious. Wait, so we have no Haaland news and it's 2 minutes to the deadline. Alrighty then. What is going on? I think that's Alvarez deeper, though. I think that's Alvarez deeper. I wouldn't be too worried about Haaland, guys. Haaland doesn't start for Palace. I don't think that's necessarily confirmed, guys. I don't think that's necessarily confirmed. Haaland starts. Haaland starts. Haaland starts. Guardiola starts. Haaland starts. Guardiola starts. Just want to confirm that now. Haaland starts. Oh my God, guys, please lock in your moves. Lock in your moves. Saka captain. There's no chance I'm Saka captaining. There's absolutely none. Who to bench? Guardiola, Gusto, Nuri. Haaland captain. Yeah, it could be worth it, guys. I'm going Salah captain. Yeah, no, Alvarez has played deeper. Obviously, because, I mean, the key thing, of course, is Foden is out, right? Which means Alvarez can play deeper. All right. I don't know why Tony let that last minute. Little bit of a last minute bait. That's interesting. And that's it, guys. That's the deadline. That's it. That's it. That is it. Pens down. Microphones down. And I'm going to be heading out to lunch very, very shortly, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead. Good luck to you guys. Hope you guys get your green arrows and so on and so forth. Guardiola does start. That's correct. Last minute, we got Haaland starts. These leakers are such divas. Yeah, I mean, what can we do? Why not double Arsenal defense? I just want to take my chances with Gusto here and go for some risky picks. Haaland vice just in case. Remember, 5 goals to Haaland. Mate, if Haaland scores 5 goals, fine with me, mate. I'd happily take it. What do you think about Gordon? Lovely pick. Lovely player. I owned him at Wildcard 8 at one point. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, and have a wonderful week ahead. See you guys.